Okay, so here I am to continue the Thai stir fry that I'm making. I've just got the rice on. So what I do is I bring it to a boil. And once it's bubbling away quite happily, I'll then give it a quick stir. And then slowly drop the heat back. And after you give it that initial stir, you're not supposed to open it again. It's one of the reasons I like this little glass top that I can see through, so I can see what's going on. So if you remember, I cut up most of the vegetables beforehand. If you look at the earlier video, if you haven't seen it, and then kept them in the fridge just to cut back. Because it's all julienned, it's a fair bit of prep. So sometimes it's nice to do that in advance. Although to be honest, you can kind of do this in the time it takes the rice to cook. So this is just a bit of garlic that I'll prep up. And get rid of the paper. For this dish, I don't mind the garlic to be fairly big. So it's going to cook in quite well. So it shouldn't really be an issue. So I'm just going to give it a rough mince. Thai chili, very, very hot. So I'll just try and get the seeds out of it. Do my best to only touch it with one of my hands so that I know that I've got one hand to, you know, do other things with that's not going to burn off my eyes or something if I happen to touch my eyes in the next 6 hours. So just get all the seeds out of that. And then give that a quick, basically I like to give it a quick julienne. And then flip it around, cut it the other way. Again, I don't mind if there's slightly bigger pieces. I cook this quite well. Try and get most of the seeds out, but you know, sometimes there will be the odd seed mixed in. And then a nice chunk of ginger. So with this, I'm just going to chop off the part I want to use. Clean off the ends. Get rid of anything. So you can do this with a carrot peeler, but I generally just shave it down with a knife. Okay. Because I find with the amounts you're working with, a carrot peeler becomes a little bit cumbersome. Slice it against the grain. Fairly thin. Sorry about the camera angle here. Because I got the rice on, it's actually a little harder. I'm still learning. Also, as you can see, it's gotten close to night because we're having this for dinner. So I'm going to mince this up fairly similar to the garlic. Very nice. So I'll put that off to the side. These are kind of the spices that'll go in. Now these are some fancy mushrooms I got that have got some cool bits of fungus in them and all sorts of neat stuff. You know, so these are the showpiece. In this particular dish, I won't be cooking the mushrooms as long as I would a standard button mushroom that we normally eat. So, you know, with some of these nice small ones, I won't even bother cutting them. And then, you know, maybe a big one like this, I would just give it a quick slice, in half. So I get 2 halves. And then, you know, with something fancy like this, I just gently slice off the bits. And as I say, I'm going to put this in quite late so that it'll maintain its look and shape. And then I've also got some Thai basil here that I'll show you preparing a bit later. Okay, so I'll just put you on hold while I chop up the mushroom. All right, so here we have the mushrooms all chopped up and prepared. Light's not great, but you can see there's some really beautiful little mushrooms in here, different types. It's what they call a mountain mushroom mix. But you know, there's different kinds, and I keep them separately because I'm going to put them in differently. And then there's the chilies and things. So some of these ones I've just julienned, the bigger ones that are more boring. And then these ones here I'll cook a bit sooner. One of the things about this dish is I like everything to be fairly bright. Like with some of the stews and stuff I do, it doesn't matter. And here's that Thai basil. Now here's the rice. So it's been on a medium heat after I turned it down to boil. Now all the water's kind of visible water floating on top is gone. So I'm now just going to turn it down to a low and then let it keep cooking. And in this case, I'm actually going to move it to the back burner just so that I can show you what I'm doing on the front burner with the wok in a little bit. So I'll just turn this back on in a sec. Okay, so here I have the Thai basil, maybe looking a little wilted, but it's actually not. It's in really nice shape. This is one of the best batches I've gotten. So what I'm going to do is pull off these big leaves, and then I'm going to keep these cute little ones for garnish or for later, depending on what I want to do. And you know, so basically picking out the really nice ones to throw on top later. And that's often these little beautiful buds right in the middle. It can be quite pretty for your garnish. You know, especially something like that. Just a really nice little piece. So yeah, I just quickly pull those out. Run around this thing. Okay. And pull off the big leaves. That's pretty fast. So as I say, that gives you something for tomorrow and something to put on it today. And then the easiest way to deal with this is to grab it and then, without bruising it, just kind of roll it up neatly. Lost one on the floor, but I'm not going to add that to this now. So just chop off any big stem you don't want. And just gently kind of shave it. You don't want to do this too early because the basil will wilt quite quickly. So, you know, to be honest, I probably should have done this right before I was plating up, but kind of in a bit of a rush today, so I thought I'd get this out of the way right now. The camera's there. So it can be a fairly loose chop or a tighter chop, depending. I mean, this is kind of what adds a lot of zing to it. It gives it that really fresh zest to have this beautiful basil freshly chopped. And then in the background you can see the wok, which I'm going to add some oil to and then get started.